Hello everyone. Hi. It's Anna Walker with StepThingsIntoExistence.com. Welcome to the studio. I am at my studio table with my nice canvas lights. Excellent lights for anyone that does something like this. I have two of them. They've got a ring light and they've got a adjustable posable arm, so you can get them pretty much anywhere you need to have the light. No, I'm not being paid for that promotion. I just love them. So I'm here at the studio and I am going to give you an update on two different projects. But first I want to tell you about another update that's going on. The website is a little messy right now because my wonderful virtual assistant is pulling out all the stops to make things look a little bit different so we can refresh the website. It's still up. You can still shop. You can still get the free tutorials that I have available, but it's a little wonky at the moment. Give us probably another week or so and it'll be looking fabulous in its new format. But that's one update. I'm going to show you another couple of updates down here. So let me move the camera down. All right, so first I want to show you, I'm going to move my glass of water out of the way. This is the back of that painting from last week. You know the painting, and you know how last week I attempted a new product that was fusible buckram that did not like wool. And funny thing, when the fusible was dry, the glue wasn't sticky on the back of it, so it is ready for me to fuse to something else, just not anything wool. So I will be saving that for other projects down the road, but I wanted to show you how I finished this painting. I told you at the start of last week that usually I would take a piece of fabric and I would fuse it to the back of a painting. Now this is getting mailed off this week as a gift. I wanted to make this possible to either hang as it is or so that the recipient could place this in a frame with or without glass. Their choice. I'm going to explain some options for it, but because I wanted it to be able to hang like this, you see these little bits of these bamboo slats? These used to be an old table runner that I took apart, and I love using these bamboo slats to, one, give myself some shape so it keeps me nice and taut on the top, and to give me some weight. I've got one down at the bottom, as you can see, that weights down the bottom just a little bit so that this piece will hang beautifully straight if the recipient decides to utilize this structure that I built back here. Now I fused the fabric on, and then I hand stitched all the way around the outside, and then I glued down the three pieces of bamboo. Now this center piece of bamboo, I drilled 2 holes in, and I ran craft wire basically through the base of the piece of bamboo. I wrapped it around twice, and then I pulled one leg up on each side. I captured the wire right here in a couple of little stitches. And I did that after I tried it out. What happened is, because there's so much space between where the wire is located and the top, it had a tendency to droop forward, and I didn't want that to happen. So I just did a couple of really quick stitches on either side to trap the wire in, and so now it will hang beautifully, and it will be weighted. You can see that the bottom is nicely weighted, and it can hang just as is, or it can be placed inside of a frame either with or without glass. So this project I'm calling done, and I'm getting ready to mail. Second project, and you guys have seen me talk about this week, because my hands are tired from stitching beads in, I have continued on. I have 2/3 of the flowers now with beads, and I am I'm keeping the colors of the beads that I use roughly the same for similar colors on the first portion. I'm not keyed in on an absolute duplication of how I'm putting those beads in. Let me show you what I mean. So on here, you can see that on these bead centers, that they're all tightly clustered right in the very center. This bead center, this beaded area, is just around a center dot. And this one, I have a tiny little cluster, and then I have them circled in with another dot. On this particular flower, I have the beads sort of spiraling. So I'm just having fun with this, because you should have fun when you're felting. I mean, we're stabbing things, right? And I just wanted to give you an idea of how I went about adding these beautiful little tendrils and these leaves here. So I'm going to get my felting mat. And this is just my class felting mat. I keep one on hand for myself. And I have some locks. These are 2 different breeds of sheep locks. This is one. I love that it's big and fluffy and it's got big curls in it. This is what I use for the tendrils. And then, I use this for the tendrils. And then I use this rich, thin, really curly lock to create the leaves that I have over here. So let me show you how I did that. I'm gonna get just a bit more so that it'll be a bit closer. So let's do a leaf. Now, these could certainly be tendrils as well. And what I like to do with locks a lot is to pull them apart lengthwise. You can pull them apart the other way if you like, but they do get a little difficult to find that staple length. So I pull them apart lengthwise. I'm going to set those there. I'm going to hang on to these 2. And then to make the leaves, I am just sort of teasing out each of the areas of the locks. Can you see that it's just a big fluff ball? Well, now I'm going to take it, and roughly in the center of it, I'm going to twist it twice, and I'm going to lay the fibers down on top of each other. And I'm going to grab my needle here, and I am just going to reinforce this fold area where I twisted and brought one half together with the other half on top of it. And I'm just letting the curls of the locks sort of be my guide for where I'm going to stab these down. And you can see that we're getting kind of a long leaf here. And I could add another layer of wool, and I may do that, but I don't think so. And I just give it a little stabbing. The reason I am felting on the foam instead of felting directly onto the painting is I want to have a little structure first. I want to know that I'm going to get that leaf shape. Now, while I like this, it is a little long and wonky. So I'm going to take it and give it one twist and fold it over again. And I'm going to see if I can get a more encapsulated, smaller, fatter leaf here. So again, where I did the twist and fold, I'm just going to come in and sort of reinforce that as the point. And then I'm going to let the rest of this just sort of fall where the locks are telling me it wants to fall. I am a big proponent of allowing the wool to be your collaborator, because while needle felting is a little bit different than wet felting, even in needle felting, you only have so much control over where those fibers go that you need to be able to be okay letting go of that control if necessary. so that the fibers can tell you exactly what they want. And you know something? I like this back side better than I like the first side. It's still getting a lot of that variegation. You see how those bright colors are coming through underneath the darker, richer teal type greens. So I've got a basic shape. I'm going to take it off of the foam, and I'm going to slide the foam right underneath my painting here. So when it comes to adding that leaf, I'm just going to choose the area where it's going to be, and I'm going to first make sure that I anchor that leaf right at the edge where it would be attached to the stem. See if I can slide this forward a bit more. I want you guys to be able to see this. And now I'm just sort of going through the center at first, and then I can take and start putting down the rest of the leaf. And this is an abstract, this is an impressionistic type of felted painting, so I don't have to be concerned about everything looking realistic. I know it drives my mom crazy because she's a realist when it comes to creating and painting. She wants it to look just like it does in real life. I am from the Impressionist school. I just love the muted edges and the softer shapes and the free-form kind of colors that you can put together. So we have our leaf there. Excuse me. Now I want to add a couple of tendrils. So I'm going to grab some of this larger, thicker wool lock here. Now I can tell from the feel of it that this was dyed while it was still in the lanolin. The lanolin has not been washed out, so it feels a little tacky. I'm okay with that. It gives me a little bit of structure to play with. And the first thing that I like to do is just sort of rub my hands together over the area that I'm going to use as a tendril, just to keep those fibers sort of in there, you know, in situ. I want them to stay pretty much as they are. Now, here's the tricky part. I have to figure out where I want this tendril to live. And I'm kind of thinking that this tendril is going to live right in through here. So I need to move my needle, move my foam, and for the tendrils, I don't get them started on the foam first. I go straight to anchoring it down and then finding those curves and sort of reinforcing those curves of the locks to give me that sort of free-flowing vine kind of look. And I'm just playing with this. That is the joy of doing something like this, is that if you can let go of the right side of your brain and you can just play, you find some amazing, amazing things will happen. And you see, just by playing with these locks as they are, I am getting this tendril that looks like it's got spirals and curves, and it looks like it belongs with these flowers on this felt painting. So I'm just going over it, making sure I've got a nice connection, giving a little bit of reinforcement. If I don't like where something is, I've talked about this before, I can come in at that 45-degree angle and I can get an area to recede or to give me a little more curl somewhere. That 45-degree angle saves me a lot because it gives me some attitude adjustment, as it were. All right, so let's give this a nice little felting. I'm not trying to felt it completely into the wet felted base. I want this texture to stand out. So if I can see that, yes, this leaf, if I run my hands across it, oh yeah, that has definitely got some texture. It's standing away from the back. And the same with the tendril. And that is how I add the leaves and the tendrils. So I'm going to be working on this a little bit more this week. And next week, you'll see a finished piece. So, updates all the way around. I hope that you've taken interest in how I finished off the felt painting. I'm going to give you another look at the back. And you can use anything to give you this structure, and you could definitely put this underneath the fabric and fuse them all together. I didn't want to take a chance that it wouldn't attach, and I knew that I was going to need at least one of these on the outside to hold the wire to hang this. But an easy way that anybody could back a felt painting. And then of course we have our painting of flowers coming together with beads, with locks, with tendrils, with leaves, and I can't wait for this piece to be finished. I'm loving the texture that's coming out, and I'm loving the play on the natural wool versus wet felted versus the beads. I mean, there's hard, there's soft, there's straight, there's curly. I'm just loving all of it. So I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to talking to you all again next week. But remember, give me a little grace and give my virtual assistant Bree a little grace when it comes to the website. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email, Anna@stabthingsintoexistence.com. I'll be happy to answer your questions or help you navigate what's going on with the website. So that's what I got. A quick and easy little 17, 18 minute update here today. Next week I'll show you this finished piece and probably something new. So I'll see you all later. Have a great week. Go stab something into existence. Bye.